investment resilience. The Global Business Summit, conceived by the Indian Chamber of Commerce as a centenary year initiative, has proved to be one of Asia's foremost gathering of top industry captains and government leaders aimed at boosting business collaborations, technology transfer, foreign investment, and fortifying international trade relations. So we are all grateful to all the participants for making this summit a grand success. And the overwhelming response will initiate many business partnerships, and hope you find this forum meaningful and engaging. So without taking much, okay, may I also request the speakers, all the speakers on dais? The speakers for this session to please come on dais. I'll take one name at a time. So Mr. Dheeraj Puri, his director, Global Drilling Fluids. Yes. Mr. Bhautik Mehta, Vice President, RP Industries Limited. Mr. Rajesh Pawa, Founder and CEO, 21st Century Polymers. Mr. Harish Lalwani, Managing Director, Sun Logistics. Mr. Jay Prakash Singh, Head Strategy Global Chemicals, Fashion Yarns and Insulators, Aditya Birla Group. Mr. Mrityunjoy Chaube, Global Vice President and Head, Environment and Sustainability, UPL Limited. Thank you very much for joining this session. We will be further joined by many other delegates who are concluding other sessions and will be joining here soon. And now I hand over the session to, okay, may I request my colleague, and who is also heading the Delhi region of ICC and also heading the sector, chemical and petrochemical, Mr. Devmallo Banerjee, to kindly felicitate the guests on the dais. Mr. Dheeraj Puri. Mr. Bhautik Mehta. Mr. Rajesh Pawa. Mr. Harish Lalwani. Mr. Jay Prakash Singh. And Dr. Mrityunjoy Chaube. So now I hand over this session to my colleague, Mr. Devmallo Banerjee. Over to you.
Yes, Raghu, sit. So thank you so much, Sirin, for doing the honors. Chemicals and petrochemicals is a very specialized sector, as you all know. We could have waited for some more time till the inaugural gets concluded, but there is a back-to-back program in place, so we should have impacted the timelines. Hence, we are starting, and people will flow moment Gadkariji completes his speech. So today's Topic is very, very relevant, pertinent in the current geopolitical order. Navigating trade tensions and crafting investments resilience. Our friend in the far west, I don't know whether to use the word friend, is giving us enough tension. And, entrepreneurs are becoming lean and thin because of his way, how he is conducting the diplomacy. And it's real life we are facing, and chemicals and petrochemicals play a very, very significant role in tariffs, in deciding the geopolitical decisions. And we have stalwarts here who will be navigating us through this important topic today. So I would like to first invite Mr. Dheeraj Puri. Dheeraj is not only a director of Global Drilling and Fluids, he is also the co-chairman of Indian Chamber of Commerce, Northern Region, a seasoned player in this segment. Mr. Puri, your views.
Hi, good afternoon. It gives me immense pleasure to address and put forward my words at the Global Summit session on chemicals and petrochemical sector in the multipolar world, trade tariffs and investment trajectory. The petrochemical sector in India is a cornerstone of the nation's industrial and economic growth, underpinning a wide range of downstream industries, including plastics, synthetics, rubber, fertilizers, textiles, pharmaceuticals, packaging. Driven by the rising domestic demand, increasing urbanization, and expanding export opportunities, the sector is one of the fastest growing in the world, with projections indicating a CGR of 8 to 10% over the next decade. Major public sector entities like IOC, HPCL, BPCL, alongside the private giants like Reliance Industries and GAIL, are investing heavily in capacity expansion and diversification. Pre tariff realignment. Before recent tariff escalations and global trade disruptions, India's chemical and petrochemical sector enjoyed a strategic position as a cost competitive, high growth hub in global supply chains. With abundant domestic demand, favorable government policies like Make in India and investment friendly initiatives such as petroleum chemicals, huh? petrochemical investment regions. India attracted significant foreign and domestic investments. Public and private players, including Indian Oil Corporation, Reliance Industries, and GAIL, focused on expanding capacities, improving infrastructure, and integrating vertically to serve both domestic and export markets. The sector's relatively lower production costs and access to feedstock made it a reliable alternative for global buyers seeking diversification from China or Europe. Post tariff realignment. The landscape has become more complex after tariff escalations, especially for major markets like the United States and European Union, driven by geo-economic tension, sanctions, concerns over energy dependencies. India's continued engagement with energy suppliers like Russia has led to trade restrictions, higher export duties, and uncertainties affecting key chemical and petrochemical products. These disruptions have increased the cost of exports, pressured margins, challenging India's competitive edge. Markets such as Africa, Latin America, and parts of Southeast Asia, where India is emerging as a trusted partner. The government's emphasis on self reliance, green chemicals, and bio based products, along with incentives for domestic production, aims to counteract global trade shocks while future proofing the sector against geopolitical risks. The government of India has been actively trying to mitigate the adversities caused from the US tariff escalations. In response to the global tariff escalations and trade disruptions, the Indian government has introduced targeted measures to support the chemical and the petrochemical sectors. These include extending export obligation period from 6 to 18 months, preparing relief packages with credit guarantees for affected exporters, launching a 20,000 crore export promotion mission to enhance competitiveness. Additionally, custom duties have been revised to encourage domestic manufacturing, while mandatory BIS standards ensuring product quality. Together, these initiatives aim to cushion the sector from external shocks, promote self reliance, and strengthen India's position in global trade. On a positive note, the post tariff realignments have opened new investment opportunities like in India's chemical and petroleum sector, particularly in infrastructure projects like the Pachpadra refinery and ethane importive initiatives. The government's focus on sustainable chemicals, while petroleum chemicals and petrochemicals, the PCPIRS, offer incentives for global supply chain integration. With the growing domestic demand and a strategic push forward towards export diversification, India presents a compelling landscape for investors seeking long term growth in a reshaped global trade environment. India's strategic position has shifted from being primarily cost competitive and export oriented to one that balances resilience, diversification, and sustainable growth. While tariff realignments have introduced challenges, they have also accelerated India's push towards greater self sufficiency, innovation, and expansion into new markets. With proactive policy measures and investments in technology and sustainability, India is well placed to navigate these global uncertainties and strengthen its leadership in the chemical and petrochemical sectors. Opportunities lie in sustainable practices, green petrochemicals, and advanced technologies with strategic investments, supportive policies, and innovation. India's petrochemical sector is well positioned to emerge as a global hub in the years ahead. Thank you. Well, out here, I've really spoken about not really all the problems that are happening, just a general thing on the market. And, so maybe after everyone speaks, we'll discuss what the problems that are actually happening are, because I actually only spoke about all the good things that are happening and none of the trouble that's happening.
Thank you, Mr. Puri, for outlining the things very beautifully. I would now like to request Mr. Bhautik Mehta, to share his views with us. Mr. Mehta.
Good morning, everyone, distinguished guests, industry leaders, and fellow panelists. Thanks, Dheeraj, for setting and sharing all the good things. But here's a thought. I think 20 years ago, if anyone had asked in this room, what's the single most important metric for this industry? And I think the answer would have been automatic: efficiency and scale. Lean, long cost optimized supply chains have worked, and we have proved it in pharma, pigments, agrochemicals. And these are honestly not small wins. They showed one thing very clearly: when scale meets quality, India delivers. But as the horizons have now shifted, the chemical segment is projected to nearly triple and reach $1 trillion by 2040. And as the saying goes, what got us here will not get us there. Because let's be honest, much of our value chains are still import dependent, fragmented, and vulnerable. Imports of intermediates and advanced feedstock still runs into tens of billions of dollars. And this is happening at a time when global supply chains are rewired, trade policies are shifting, and sustainability has moved from nice to have to must to have. So the question before us is very simple. How do we turn this potential into leadership? At Aarti Industries, with 40 years in chemicals and a top line of nearly $1 billion this year, our journey reflects the story of India's chemical industry: resilient, ambitious, and future-focused. And today I want to share 3 perspectives on how India can build that future together, moving from an efficiency-driven growth to leadership-driven resilience. The first, integration as a growth driver. If efficiency has built the last era, integration will definitely define the next. The future is not built on silos, but it will build on end-to-end value chains. So let's think of this. A refiner or a bulk commodity player tied up to a long-term specialty chemical producer with a long-term contract. That same producer in turn linked with an automotive components firm with a long-term contract. And such kind of chains exist across pharma, agros, coatings, polymers, pigments, dyes, performance chemicals, materials, electronics, and the like. Right? And that's not a dream. That's how we insulate ourselves, and that's how we compete with China's scale. And to make it happen, what I call this as collaborative competition. At Aarti, we have recently concluded sourcing contracts for nitric acid, chlorine, to name a few. We have concluded supply contracts for advanced agro intermediates to other Indian manufacturers for actives. We have formed joint ventures with RESL on plastic pyrolysis and with UPL when it comes to phosgenation. So yes, we compete in markets, but we are building the ecosystem. We must also collaborate. That means consortium to map gaps, co-investments to plug them, and a unified brand India in chemicals. Now imagine this, an Indian consortium bidding jointly for global supply contracts or co-investing in Indian overseas assets. That's when the world will stop seeing us as individual players and start seeing us as a strategic unified force. Point number 2, innovation and digital transformation. If integration has given us scale, innovation gives us an edge. Specialty chemicals thrive on R&D, and technology is rewiring the entire rules. AI-enabled research can cut discovery timelines from years to months. Let me give an example. At Aarti, in our CDMO work, a customer recently asked us to screen over 20 new age molecules generated purely via AI and shortlist the ones which also meets the commercial criteria. That's how fast the future is growing. To top it up, smart factories, predictive maintenance, data-driven quality, these are not the buzzwords, they are competitive necessities. So our next leap cannot be imitation. It must be application-driven innovation, solving real-world problems for all the sectors growing within India. And to add to it, embedding sustainability at the core of decision making. That is also where global collaboration matters. And that's where I propose a technology transfer initiative, where a policy that rewards global firms for bringing the next gen technologies to India through joint ventures. It would send a very powerful signal that India is not just open for business, India is open to co-create the future. And here's our cultural edge. Indian businesses inherently are collaborative. We just don't form partnerships, we nurture them, and that makes us an aligned partner in a multipolar world. And finally, trade and tariffs. If integration builds resilience and innovation builds advantage, the trade policy decides how far we go. Because this is where the real game is being played right now. FTAs, tariff regimes, non-tariff barriers, they can open doors or close them overnight. We have all seen it. And additionally, China's overcapacity leading to dumping, widening trade deficit, domestic plants underutilized while import rise. I think there's a lot of that the list. I think countermeasure exists. I think Mr. Puri spoke a lot on that. Duty drawback, rod tap, anti-dumping, BIS, minimum import prices, safeguard mechanisms, to name a few. And I think the government has done a phenomenal work on ease of doing business. But let's be also honest, there is a speed mismatch. We also need single window clearances, faster approvals, flexibility in product mix, simpler marine discharge norms, plug and play chemical parks, better logistics, port connectivity, and the list is what we have been sharing across last many years. Many critical inputs, intermediates, catalysts, advanced technologies are still very import dependent, and that must change. Because without it, our speed to market, our ability to supply new products, and our ability to diversify markets suffers. So if we must build a $1 trillion industry, trade policies cannot be reactive. It must be proactive and must become a part of our growth strategy. So let me close with this. Investing in India's chemical sector is no more a cost arbitrage. It is about shaping sustainable supply chains. It is about building solutions to the next billion consumers. And it is about creating an industry that is indispensable to the world. So to my fellow industry leaders, let's break the silos, forge partnerships, invest in tech and talent as boldly as we invest in plants and machinery. To our government partners, continue to be our champion. Help us simplify the path, and we will deliver growth, jobs, and leadership. And to our global guests, you are not just invited to make in India, you are invited to innovate to the world from India. Because if India positions itself as a global hub for sustainable chemicals, we don't just win markets, we win trust. So the time to build India and from India is now. Thank you. Pleasure and honor to be a part of the centenary ICC celebration. Yeah, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. You outlined very, very important logistical requirements in terms of how to, navigate the challenges and how the future needs to be ready to embrace this sector in a much more wholehearted fashion. Very, very rightly pointed out. May I now request Mr. Power to share his views with us. Mr. Power had already spoken in ICC 2 years back. So again, in Delhi in one of the forums. So thank you for coming out here.
Thank you so much, everyone. And I'm honored to be here. ICC invited 2 years back, I believe, and now it's again. Thank you so much. And I fully agree with what Mr. Puri and Mr. Mehta shared earlier. And they covered most of the points I was going to say, but let's try. So what I do when I do my business, I wear two hats mainly. One, I'm heading a company which is the largest distributor of virgin polymers in India. We are a tech-based company. Other hat I'm wearing is I'm into recycling for more than 3.5 decades. So what government is doing today is, the way last decade, they are supporting industry in many ways. This is the golden era, I believe. As I shared, I'm into this sector for a long time now, but this last decade was for MSME sector. And I believe that the future is with them. So the topic on this topic is the chemical and petrochemical sector, and it plays a vital role in India's economic growth by driving industrialization, creating employments, contributing significantly to exports and GDP. With rising domestic demands, increasing urbanization, the government initiatives promoting investment and sustainability. I heard many times Naresh ji, and the topic you shared about sustainability is amazing. I learned a lot about this from you. So that is very close to this my heart, sustainability topic, because I'm into recycling. And the government initiatives are really promoting these investments in sustainability today. The sector is fueling infrastructure developments, technological advancements, foreign direct investments. As one of the fastest growing industry, it not only strengthens India's self-reliance in critical raw materials, but also positions the country as a key player in global trade, ultimately accelerating overall economic development. Rapid adoption of innovation in the sector has further accelerated growth, driven by technological advancements, sustainability goals, and global market dynamics. Again, on positives from the government steps. So when I'm coming from a MSME sector and larger institutions are ready to work with us, many bigger financial institutions, the finance is easier. In the last decade, when it was very difficult 20 years back. Same is with technical collaborations. Currently, we have collaborated with 2 German companies on a patent on some plastic recycling segments. So it is much easier now. Research and development efforts are advancing catalyst design, energy optimization, and resource recycling, enabling sustainable production processes. Public-private partnerships and initiatives like Make in India have encouraged innovation ecosystems, fostering collaborations between academia, startups, industry players. These innovations are helping the sector diversify product offerings, enter new markets, align with global sustainability trends, while supporting India's broader economic and environmental objectives. So in my other company, Source Re, where this is the circular arm of India's largest distributor, as I shared earlier, Source One, is actively enabling industries to achieve sustainability and circular economy goals by digitizing material flows, connecting stakeholders across the value chain, scaling solutions in recycling and resource efficiency. Sourcery is helping transform waste into valuable resources. Its technology-led approach is strengthening supply chains, reducing carbon footprints, ensuring that India growth in the chemical and petrochemical sector is closely aligned with circularity, resilience, and global climate commitments. So, would like to share some points on to foster greater growth and attractive investments in the chemical and petrochemical sector amid tariff disruptions. India should adopt a multi-pronged strategy. I believe most of the points I'm going to share, it is already on the agenda of Indian government and ministries, especially Ministry of Petrochemical and Ministry of Environment. But still, I think they'll mange more. We need a little bit faster and little bit more. So first is it must enhance domestic production capacity by expanding refineries, chemical parks, logistical infrastructure to reduce import dependence and ensure feedstock security. Second is the government should promote sustainable innovations such as green chemistry, bio-based products, circular economy models to align with global environment standards and tap into emerging markets. Third one is creating a robust policy network. So on policy, with my experience, what I can share with all of you is we have best of the rules in place in India and in any sector. The issue is with compliance. So we need to work more on compliance. Fourth one is diversifying export markets beyond traditional partners by building trade agreements with Asia, Africa, Europe, and will mitigate risks from tariff shocks. The sector also needs harmonization of quality control orders, HSE standards, REACH compliance. This will ensure safety across the market, safeguard public health, facilitate global trade and clarity, reduce operational cost, and enhance efficiency in the long run. So this is from my side and open to questions when it comes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Pava, for your views. I would now like to request Mr. Lalwani, Managing Director of Sun Logistics, to come and share his remarks with us. Mr. Lalwani.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So I guess I'm the person in logistics, so you will hear everything from me from the logistician's point of view. And we have all the manufacturers over here. So
All complaining about logistics.
always. So you need someone to blame, and we're there, don't worry. So, just to build it up a little, the impact of trade wars, as from the logistic point of view, what we see is when the, US-China so-called trade war started a long time ago, there was something that happened, which was called China plus one. And India came into view, and everyone looked at India as one of the second suppliers or China plus one. As a logistician, I see when US is now doing something like this to India, we see something coming up as US plus one. So, there we have to look at it on a more positive manner, whether we can actually, go ahead and look at different markets. So at least this is my point of view. If something can happen, China plus one, why can't US plus one or any other Europe plus one happen? So again, just a thought process. But again, talking about anti-dumping duties, what we've seen, as logisticians, as clearing agents, and the government has always been in protecting our local manufacturers with anti-dumping duties. And eventually, this works more like a double-edged sword. You'll either get this or that. And there is a time which has come now is where we, as our manufacturing companies, are now competing on a global basis. And because the anti-dumping duties are decreasing, or the technology, or the shift to get into the global trade exists now. We're talking about the shifting trade corridors that are happening. So like we said, every time something happens, a war happens, a new trade corridor comes up. So if one route stops, three more routes start, which existed, but no one looked at it. So from a logistics point of view, we see that it's opening up more, it's becoming more accessible, and it's also opening our ideas to doing more things than were restricted to just a certain, certain countries or whatever. What we see now that the logistics industry is growing in the domestic market. So domestic market is growing. And trust me, the cost of transportation in the domestic market is much more than the cost of transportation on a global basis. And people are readily paying that. So as a logistics company, we feel we should stop doing international business and do more of domestic business. But see, it's that shift and the requirement of all kinds of products. Of course, chemicals, petrochemicals, you guys are the backbone of our industry. Nothing will work if this doesn't exist. And we as logisticians also exist because of that. So, I don't know much about the government initiatives for the industry or the investment strategies that take place. All I know is there are sovereign wealth companies now that who are based and all this, who are now looking at India because it's gone beyond their uh, just the petrochemicals that they have, and the growth is much more where which happens.
I want to speak about one thing. Do you think these prices are going to level down? Because what the problem is not that the prices are going up or down. Problem is when a price to a destination is $3,000, and by the time I execute the order, it becomes $23,000, which is happening in certain places. My only point is that look, nobody minds the prices going up and down, which is what I want you to actually tell everyone. If you have an idea that it's coming. But in my line of work, petrochemicals for us, we manufacture. There's a time, delivery time. A lot of us are working with government companies like Aramco, KOC, PDO, etc. But there's a 4-month lag between. Yeah. There's a 4-month lag between the time that we are getting the order to the time that we're supplying it. How do we control our shipping costs? Because when I have 200 containers to supply, and suddenly I'm not getting any vessels, and the prices are going 3 times, that's where the problem comes in. So
I'll tell you about how we feel the other way around. Okay, like whenever a price is quoted, it's always said कि नहीं थोड़ा और कम करो यार, थोड़ा और कम करो. And जब prices बढ़ते हैं or when they increase, again it's always the logistics company that is in between the shipping lines and customers. And trust me, it's not about what we do, or you can have contracts, you can have future contracts with the lines, with everyone. But then the thing is that nobody wants to do that because they feel, what if the price comes down? So you see, it's a chicken and egg. But coming to creating a better way of working, and pardon me for being very upfront, that we do not look at safety and packaging being a very important part of our business. And the amount of wastage due to incidents, leakages, and all these things that take place is also showing on your numbers. Okay, if this same thing can be done by looking at more safety, packaging properly, making sure that the cargo transport unit, in this case maybe the container or the truck or anything else that you are using as a cargo transport unit, is packed properly, you will see a lot of savings there. It may be a little expensive in the beginning because what are you going to do? You're going to train people. You're going to make sure that people are capable of doing the work that they're supposed to do. And trust me, what we've seen in global companies and the big boys, they have concentrated more on the safety, packaging, transportation. And over a period of time, they have seen that it shows profits. It actually gives it back to you. So, while freights will keep moving up and down, and globally, your consignees or you as consignees will accept it either ways. When COVID happened, the freights jumped up and everyone accepted, your buyers accepted the freight and you all started selling it at, It's going to happen. But from our point of view, we should also look at the possibilities of where, you know, there is something that is going to help us in the long run. And today, the industry is working on long distance only. You are only looking at doing businesses over a period of decades and no longer years. So, my point over here is that unless we do not look at ensuring that there is enough training, not only in your factories or not only in your, in your compounds, but beyond that, starting from the truck driver who takes it to the person who packs it to the person who's offloading in the port, if everyone is trained, you will see higher efficiency, and this is what is going to give you, more than what you bargain for, again from a logistician's point of view. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lalwani. You raised some very important points in terms of safety, in terms of pilferage. ICC, jointly with Ministry of Chemicals and Petrochemicals, we organize a program called ChemCon every year in Delhi. Maybe I'll ask you to come, and this will be one of the topic I'll discuss with Secretary Madam in the ministry, and maybe this can be one of the topic which should be embraced and adopted, that pilferage, wastage, and how to minimize that part. Uh,
Hello. Yeah. So globally, no one is allowed to do any kind of manage any kind of dangerous cargo unless there is a certificate. You're trained, and that also includes a simple thing like documentation. If you do not understand the chemical, like the SDS, the safety data sheet, if you cannot interpret that, how are you going to transport it? Because you don't even know what are the perils of transportation.
yeah. What is the atomic configuration? What is the molecule?
The least that you need to know is what is the specific gravity. You need to know, how reactive is this chemical? What is the class? What does that sticker or the label on the container mean? Nobody understands that. So we've seen where, transport companies don't put the stickers because they're scared that the police will catch them on the road, and then before reaching the port, they come and stick it over there. But that is not the meaning of it. It's the fact that that sticker is there or the label is there is because of the emergency response that is required in case of an incident. So
maybe, if offline you share a paper or something with us, we would love to, share it with government, so that, the advocacy starts and maybe some kind of rules, regulations come in future. We keep on doing that. Yeah, we
I
get
promise I'll
tons.
do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, this is very important from Reliance Industries. We get tons of such advocacy materials that please push government, please push. But this is something which will benefit the industry as a large, and lot of changes towards the positive side. It's basically upgrading. The industry will get upgraded. So this is very important. I would request, if by next week or 10 days, if something can be
I have
emailed
it
to
ready.
me,
As soon as I get to the office, I'll send it to you. I promise you.
We'll share it with Government of India. So thank you so much. Very interesting. Now I would like to request Mr. Jay Prakash Singh, Head of Strategy, Global Chemical, Fashion Yarns and Insulators, Aditya Birla Group, to share his views with us. Mr. Singh.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly an honor to be here today amongst all of you, industry leaders and innovators, at this timely gathering. I also want to thank organizers for creating this wonderful platform to discuss an issue of immense importance: the future of chemicals and petrochemicals in a multipolar world. The theme of our session, trade tariffs and investment trajectory in a multipolar world, is deeply relevant in today's context. We are living through one of the most dramatic reconfiguration of global supply chains in modern history. I just want to, most of the things have been already talked about my fellow panelists. I just want to give some more context to Indian consumption story. So if we look at the India's GDP growth, 60% of the growth is coming from the consumption. If we look at the Chinese GDP growth, 35% is coming from the consumption, rest is coming from the investment and the exports. So there is a fundamental responsibility as an industry that we support this consumption. What is happening that if we are not supporting this consumption, somebody else will definitely do. So in turn, what will happen that some other countries industry will grow on our consumers demand and our own consumptions. So this is the first fundamental thing that we need to understand. Definitely exports and other things are important, but the larger chunk which this country is waiting for is to support Indian consumers. There are three fundamental factors those are reshaping our industry. One is the geopolitics and multipolarity. Trade realignments are happening. Regional blocks are getting formed. New alliances are drawing the new supply chains. For India, this is an opportunity to emerge as a trusted and resilient hub for chemicals. Another is climate imperatives. Net zero targets, lot of focus on green energy, green chemistries, and carbon border adjustments. All these things are giving India or Indian chemical industry as a new entry point to the global supply chains. The third is digital disruption and the new sectors. So digital disruption, I think Bautik talked about that, how important it is. But there are multiple new sectors, those are coming up. Those were not present in India before, like battery chemicals, semiconductors, green hydrogen, and the new age polymers, which are supporting mobility, transport, aerospace. All these things or all these sectors were not present or unheard of 5 to 10 years back. But these new sectors are again giving us an opportunity to enter into these new spaces, and these spaces are equally open to the startups as they are open to the established players. At the ABG, we have defined our own growth path, and I think our strategy basically rests on four pillars, which I just talked about. One is integrated value chains, which I think one fellow panelist talked about. Until or unless we are not integrated well, we can't compete in terms of the value or on the cost. We don't need to provide only the volume, we have to provide a solution. For that, this integration of the value chains within the country is very much important. Specialty and sustainable products, this is another area which we feel will provide lot of growth in for us and to the industry as well. Sustainability and green investments. I mean, green investment, look at the renewables and look at the waste to chemicals, look at the lignin valorization, all these things where India has an inherent edge in terms of the raw material availability, in terms of the agriculture waste availability, where we don't need to look into the other countries' feedstock, whether that is coming or not, or inherent volatility in the feedstock. So all these things, if we can really work on, I think we can build a really sustainable and profitable business within India for Indians. I think trade and tariffs, a lot have been talked about. I would like to touch a bit on the investment. When somebody was saying that India will become a trillion, I mean, Indian chemical industry become a $1 trillion industry by 2040. This $1 trillion industry will need lot of investment. If I divide that investment trajectory in three major parts, one major investment has to be happen in petrochemicals, because until or unless we are not building a scale for the feedstock, chemical industry cannot grow up. So first 100 to 150 billion of investment needs will be required at this particular space if we want to grow our industry by $1 trillion till 2040. Another major area would be specialty and performance chemicals, where polymers, agrochemicals, pharmaceuticals, and lot other associated specialty chemical sectors come up, another 70 to 80 billion of investment will be required. And all these investments has to come to India. Partly would be done by Indian industries and partly will flow from the global companies in terms of the joint ventures or in terms of the pure FDIs. There is one more sector that is really opening up in a big way, that is the new age value chains, looking at the battery materials, electronic chemicals, clean energy, and advanced materials for mobility and aerospace. This is the sector which is still niche, still providing lot of good profitability, but it needs commitment on R&D and long gestation period. 70 to 80 billion of investment would be required for this sector also in next 15 to 20 years to bring this industry to, closer to $1 trillion by 2040. While see, trade and investment, these two things are very much fundamental for any industry to grow. But there is one more angle that is involved to this. I think Bhatik was talking about industry to industry collaboration. So that is very important thing. But apart from industry to industry collaboration, there has to be a public and private partnership. In terms of infrastructure creation, look at the infrastructure of some of the countries which have done exceedingly well in the chemical industry. They have superior infrastructure in place so that companies come and they produce and they become more relevant and profitable in those spaces. So that is one very important thing. Another is industry and academia synergy. So if we take an example of China, they have one university, one value chain kind of setup, where one university is fundamentally doing all kind of research, doing technology for one particular type of value chain. I think similar type of approach is required in India also. Until or unless that is not happening, our industry, academia, and government, everybody is not coming together, pulling this thing to $1 trillion industry would become a challenge. So I think this chemical and petrochemical industry in India has been a silent enabler to the growth. It has powered agriculture, healthcare, housing, mobility, and digital connectivity. But in coming decade, it will demand even more of us. We must transition from being value providers to become value creators, from being carbon intensive to becoming climate champion. So let's seize this moment with innovation in our thinking, sustainability in our purpose, and excellence in our execution. So in most of the countries, this time come. In China, this has come 15, 20 years back. Probably this is the time for the India. So when history looks back at this period, let it be said, India has not only grew its chemical industry, it has redefined it, and it has created something that world can look into. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for the wonderful remarks. Our last speaker for the session, Dr. Chaube, Global Vice President, Environment and Sustainability of UPL, will be now sharing his views with us. Dr. Chaube.
How much time? Okay. So, good afternoon. I think I am the last speaker, so I will sum up quickly. So, thank you for being here and giving me opportunity to speak on this complex issue. Here, what I will cover, already speakers have covered various things. My experiences mainly in sustainability and environment. And last 30 years, I happens to be, the topic is with chemical and petrochemical. And the good part is that I have experience with petrochemical also, because long time I was working with Shell, and then right now with UPL. So my experience with chemical also. And then Unilever also, long time I was. So that was also more or less FMCG, but using the chemical. So what I would like to speak here, that on tariff part, yes, it's true that it's impacting us, and it is also not in our control. So someone else have imposed, and because of tariff, chemical industry is also getting impacted. But what I want to share here, my view, with practical experience in chemical industry, that there are two things where we can mitigate the risk of this tariff. And the one thing is in the hand of industry, which if they embed sustainability in right word, then yes, it can be, the impact can be mitigated. And the second is the environmental regulatory reform that also need to be done, and that also impacting the chemical and petrochemical industry. So first I shall share how the sustainability can mitigate the risk of this tariff. So our experience at UPL, I am here from UPL. So globally I used to see sustainability and environment of UPL. And right now we are helping in 138, more than 138 country to farmer to feed the world sustainably. And mainly we are in agrochemicals, biological. So what we have done, we set 5-year back target related to sustainability in our manufacturing plant. And there we set target to reduce environment footprint. So we focus from last 5 years to reduce carbon, water and waste. And what today result is that in last 5 years, we have reduced 52% waste, 49% water, and 38% carbon emission, means the energy consumption. And in monetary world, if you see, then approximately this year, our saving was, because of this sustainability initiative, approximately 380 crore rupees in terms of water bill saving, energy bill saving, and waste bill saving. So I think sustainability is right now tool where we can mitigate the risk of the tariff. Now the second part I want to share here on the environmental regulatory reform. Actually, if you see today industry, then 3-4 issue we are facing, and time to time, last 4-5 years, we are putting this to the government, discussing with the government that please bring this reform. One major is Rule 9, and Rule 9 is impacting chemical and petrochemical industry. What Rule 9 is that it is under Waste Management Act, and Rule 9 is saying that any byproduct if you are producing, then it will deemed to be a waste. So first thing is that the byproduct under Rule 9, they are considering that it is waste. And if you want to send for reuse recycle, then you have to get approval from the Central Pollution Control Board, a State Pollution Control Board jointly. And once SOP is approved, then only the byproduct can be sold in the market. And this is happening from last 3-4 years only. Earlier, byproduct, all the chemical industry used to sell like product. Now here our point from the industry is that the Rule 9 is related to Waste Management Act. And the waste definition under Rule 9 itself, the ministry has clarified that anything produced other than product and byproduct is called waste. So how the byproduct can be a waste? And when we take the environment clearance, then expert appraisal committee approve it, that yes, this byproduct you can sell in market. So because of Rule 9, today most of chemical industry now forced to send all byproduct to the landfill site. So one side they are losing the revenue, and other side we are increasing pollution on the landfill side. And that is the impact of Rule 9. As per estimate, today 50 million metric ton byproduct approximately get produced in India. Now you can imagine that because of this rule, we are wasting 50 million metric ton byproduct. And if you see the UPL alone, my calculation is that approximately 1,000 crore revenue every year we are losing because of this Rule 9, where we are not able to sell byproduct to our customer. So I think this is one request that the government must look on this Rule 9. The second is on the product mix change. Today in chemical industry, especially those industry who are exporting, they always have the market demand and the customer demand different product. So we need to, today we are producing certain chemical, tomorrow we need to produce different. And for that, the rule is saying that if there is a change in the product mix, then you go and take the clearance. Today, as per rule, even though we are not increasing the pollution load by changing the product mix change, we have to apply to the regulatory body, and they have set up 3 committee. One is NIPL committee, then the CTE committee, CTO committee, and when all these 3 committee, you get approval, it's take at least 1 year. So 1 year you get for the approval of product mix change. And that's where when we bring the approval, then several times in UPL, what I get the feedback that now I need different product. So you apply for the different product because already the season has gone. I think if you see globally, we have the factory in the Europe, US, what there happen, their environment clearance is based upon the pollution load. So they don't bother how you are changing the product, but those countries, they bothered that you don't increase the pollution load. Here in our country, our environment clearance is based on product. And that's the main problem with the chemical industry, that when want to change the product, then they have to go and the delay happen. The third things that is related to deep sea discharge. And that also impacting chemical industry, because today if you see 50% approximately get produced in Gujarat. And in those 50% chemical produced, the Ankleshwar, Panoli, Bharuch area 50% constitute. And we have very good deep sea discharge facility in the Bharuch district in Gujarat. But we are unable to take the advantage of that deep sea discharge. If you go in US and US EPA rule, if you refer, then they are allowing in deep sea discharge up to 4,000 ppm COD to be discharged wastewater because of dilution factor, and the dilution factor happens between 1,500 to 2,000 in the deep sea. So practically even 1,500 dilution factor you consider, so 1,500 COD means it became 1 ppm COD. So because of dilution impact in US EPA have made regulation different for the river and different for the deep sea discharge. Our in India, the issue is that we have made a single rule. Whether you are discharging in river Ganga or deep sea, it is same to 50 ppm. Now, I think we have discussed with government many times. Now the good part is that from 6 months, government has agreed to do the amendment, and they have done amendment up to 1,000 ppm COD we can discharge in the deep sea. So I think that is good part the government has done, and still we are discussing that even it should be relaxed more. And in all these things, whether it is Rule 9 or deep sea discharge or product mix change, I don't think any issue of environmental pollution. Actually, we are saying that you bring this reform and the environmental pollution will decrease. Environmental pollution load will decrease. So I think this reform, government should look, and if we do these regulatory reform, and then we may mitigate the risk of this tariff also. And the second part, industry should also take initiative on the sustainability. Sustainability is a very good tool where they can use it for the profitability of business. And the last part is the delay in the environmental clearance, that also impacting the industry. And I think time to time we always request to the government that please make it faster. Don't make it for 2-3 year affair. So if they can make it faster, then the chemical industry will get relief. And I think very easy thing is that in a notified industrial estate, where already environment impact assessment has been done and the government has given permission to bring the industry. So only they have to do in a notified industrial estate, bring chemical and industry in B2 category. Just do this amendment. The moment chemical industry will come under B2 category in a notified industrial estate, you will need only 1-2 months to get the environment clearance. And the load on the government also will be considerably down. So I think with all this, in the interest of time, I am going to conclude my speech. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it was quite an engaging session. So my colleague says that we'll have the group photograph. And in the meanwhile, if somebody has some question for 5 minutes, we can take short questions and short answers. No, we need the microphone.
Dr. Chaubey, my name is Vishwas Tendulkar. I represent International Center for Clean Water, promoted by IIT Chennai. ESG is a norm which is for BSc 1000 companies. But in chemical industry, typically, there's the SME sector, which is not coming the ESG norm. So ESG plays a role in the export and everything. It's only a compliance, but it has got meaning in terms of carbon footprint, water footprint. What is your on the SME sector of the chemical industry, which is not coming under ESG, and there is you find a lot of cases like, many things, effluent treatment, etc. What do you feel about it?
So I think it's not question of a norm. And the ESG, as I told, it is a sustainability. So ESG is a tool where we can use for the profitability of business. And whether it is the large corporate or a small or medium, everywhere it's play important role. And I think at this moment, only we say like this, that a small scale, medium scale, they are not doing the good job. But what my experience is that we have sustainable supplier engagement program in UPL, and we have 5,000 supplier globally. So most are medium and a small scale. And I found that several medium and a small scale suppliers are doing very good thing in the ESG, and they are embedding sustainability. But to the question, yes, I think if they will follow it, do it, then it's good.
Mr. Chaubey, hi. My name is Anuj Bishnoi. I am the founder of Reput.ai. I have a follow-up question. Just wanted to know and ask you that if you can deep dive or double click on how do you do traceability of this vast level of suppliers that you have, and ensure that whatever they are talking the whole value chain, it is be it traceability or be it when it comes to ESG reporting, how it is being done when the entire transparency is not in place, or are you using any platform or things like that right now?
Right. So for this first thing, what we did, we make a sustainable procurement framework, and that we shared with all our suppliers. Yes. And there we made certain policies, certain framework, and certain criteria. The cost is not only criteria to select the supplier. So the moment we did it, then we see a lot of changes into it.
My question was more related to the tracking and traceability of what they basically bring it out to the table, being the mechanism that you said that you're using currently.
Right. So we have made one in-house sustainability data tracker. So that is based upon AI and data science principle. And in that sustainability tracker, we track the data of all our suppliers. and there automatically several things get tracked. Like suppose if they are not sustainable at their business, then we think that it is a threat to UPL also. So I think more is toward the discussion, customer engagement program, also helping them if they need certain help. Like one help I found, being a large corporate, we able to negotiate green power purchase agreement at attractive cost. Even from grid, we get the lesser cost. So we are taking approximately 70, 80 megawatt from the green power purchase agreement. But what our supplier told me, that this rate is not available to them. So we negotiated with the green power purchase agreement provider and told that whoever is our medium and a small scale supplier, please give this rate to them also. So I think the engagement program, policy framework, sustainable, and don't give only one criteria, that cost is the criteria to select the customer. Because our procurement team was doing that mistake. Now from 3-4 years, I always happens to be, means my 40-50% time go with the all supplier engagement thing. And we have made very clear to our procurement team that only cost will be the not criteria. Let's evaluate on the ESG.
I'm sorry, this is a follow-up question. My name is Kapil Jindal. I'm a management consultant. And I want to ask you if, in the interest of industry and in the interest of environment, can you make this your policy more accessible to others so that they can follow it and we can have a wider use of ESG tracked supply chain?
Yes, I think right now we are doing, if you refer our sustainability report, every year we put in the public domain. So we talk all these things. What is our sustainable supplier framework? How we are tracking water, carbon, waste? How is the sustainability data tracker? How different new green technology we have embedded. So I think the one thing is the sustainability report, where we put in public domain, a lot of awareness happen. And second thing is like these conferences, we used to go and share our case study and idea. So that is a part of this. If anyone feel to discuss, be connected, then we always open. I think every month we used to organize a sustainability workshop with our big suppliers. Like in last 3 months, we organize sustainability workshop with the Dow, with the BASF, and with many company. So there also we share and exchange the idea.
Thank you.
Nobody wants to ask any other questions but to him. I have got 20 questions. I'm taking him to the side right now.
Any other questions?
I think we'll take the last question if anybody has it. Yeah.
This is Navneet Singh, founder of Dabon Renewable. I just wanted to understand the perspective of chemical and petrochemical sector with respect to sustainability that you just talked about. So as far as I understand, the law is something like, if you produce something which is, not in favor of nature, you can, kind of compensate that by, say, planting more trees or things like that. So how does, can I get more detailed perspective of how this whole system works in your industry? There's something like carbon credits, there's something like RPOs. So I just wanted to get insight which is relevant to me because I am from renewable sector, but I don't have much perspective of your specific industry. So any of the speakers, if you can just elucidate a bit more on that part, if you may. Thank you.
It has to be him.
Right. So see, let me first clarify that it is a myth that chemical industry used to pollute. Because for us, the regulation is that before constructing any chemical factory, you do the environment impact assessment. and we do detailed environment impact assessment, and that get reviewed by the expert appraisal committee at ministry, and there we put the plan that how it will not impact, and if impact will be there, then how we will mitigate it. So I think those things always happen with the chemical industry, but still I cannot say that it's 100% proof. So there are a lot of measures and a lot of regulations are in place which taking care for the chemical industry, that there should not be pollution to the environment. So I think this is, we can say only. But one thing is there that if you see our waste management policy, energy management policy, water management policy, biodiversity policy, these all are integral part of any chemical industry to operate, and they always used to take care of all these things.
I can just maybe add a couple of lines. I think apart from the policies, I think it is important that the company also takes steps on how do we actually reduce our carbon footprint. And there are multiple ways. I think energy, we are one of the largest energy consumers, right, as an industry. Coal definitely is one of the biggest ways where you consume, right? So definitely bio alternates are kind of shaping up. The tech is kind of upgrading. That is one. Hybrid electricity has now become a possibility, at least in states of Gujarat, where the government also promoting the policies. Yes. So I think we are definitely taking advantage of it. But I think the most important is how do you kind of make your processes more efficient, right? I think ultimately it all boils down to that. So very critical, how do you use our R&D center and research centers to improvise your processes so that inherently consumption itself kind of goes down, and it kind of benefit both the cost as well as the carbon credit. So yeah, just to add on the policies part.
I think with this, the questions can be answered offline during lunch. So now can we have the speakers posing on the stage for the group photograph? It's okay. I mean. I would request Mr. Devmalo Banerjee to kindly present the token of appreciation from ICC to the speakers. Mr. Dheeraj Puri. Mr. Bhautik Mehta. Mr. Rajesh Pawa. Mr. Harish Lalwani. Mr. Jay Prakash Singh. Dr. Mrityunjoy Chaube. Thank you very much. The guests may kindly take the seats in the audience. With this, we close the session. Thank you very much.
So I'll send a mail to you and then